It's getting ready, okay? Just give me 1 second.
Perfect. Hi, Ada.
You remember Ada?
Yeah. This is so fun. Thank you so much for organizing this, Jorge.
It's getting ready, okay? Give me 1 second.
Perfect. Oh. Hi, Ada.
I guess we are ready. That's what I think. So let's start with this. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's session. This is a unique, special session because we have Dawn back. I mean, it's virtual presentation, but back to Tampico. Thank you very much, Dawn. I'm sure many of you remember, well, the ones from Tampico. Dawn was here 6 years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but it was wonderful, right? So, well, we have Dawn back. Welcome, Dawn. Let me tell you a little bit about Dawn, the ones who may not know about her, because we all know her, right? Let me see. Okay, this is information we have in here. Give me 1 second because I don't know how to. Yes, I can see that. Well, I guess you can see it because I cannot see it that well, everyone. But this is Dawn's biodata. Dawn Wink is a writer and educator whose work explores the beauty and tensions of language, culture, and place. Wink grew up on a cattle ranch in San Pedro River Valley of southeastern Arizona. She has studied and lived in Mexico, Spain, and Germany. With degrees in international relations, cross-cultural leadership, and TESOL, Wink is an associate professor in the Department of Teacher Education at Santa Fe Community College and works with teachers in the US and around the world. Her book, Teaching Passionately, What's Love Got to Do with It, co-written with Joanne Wink, it's Pearson 2004, explores the foundations of education, literacy, language acquisition, and political, familial, and spiritual influences on education. Her novel, Middle Arc, was inspired by her great-grandmother. Wink lives with her family in Santa Fe in New Mexico in the US. So please welcome Dawn Wink, everyone.
And I don't know if it's possible for you to turn your camera on even briefly. I would love to see you before we dive into the presentation. If it's not possible, I completely understand. We all we have all kinds of contexts we're navigating now in this time, don't we? So wonderful. Oh, yay. Hello. Hola. Okay. Well, I am thrilled to be here. And again, Jorge, thank you so much for asking me. My time with you in Tampico continues to be a highlight. Hello. Thank you for turning on your cameras. Thank you. Continues to be a highlight. And I look forward to when we can gather in person again. And so I am going to go ahead and share my screen now. And my hope and my intention, and for those of you who know me, I hope you know to be comfortable. This is an interactive, engaged conversation. We're going to be exploring ideas together. Jorge brilliantly learned intentionally how to make this more engaging just for our time together. I'm so thankful to him for that. So we shall go ahead and let me share my screen and dive in. First, let me turn off my mail so we can hopefully not, I got an Amazon offer. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Great, okay. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and dive in then. So my hope, and I know we're going to focus on curriculum development. My hope that our time together is we're going to look at some language. We're going to look at literacy. We're going to look at translanguaging, and also thinking about it for each person here to think about it from the lens of your own curriculum. We come from a variety of contexts, a variety of countries. We teach a variety of ages and students. So everything we do, I hope you'll be thinking, okay, what does that mean for me and for my students? This is a picture I just had to share with you. I took this picture this morning on my run, and I'm fortunate enough to live in New Mexico, and so we have spectacular sunrises and sunsets. But I saw this morning, and I thought, oh, I know who I'm going to share this with today. So this is for today. And for our time together today, what we're going to do is break it up into, we're going to start off looking at some personal and professional, something that you can take into your classroom immediately. We're going to look at 3 big ideas. We're going to look at the reflective cycle. We're going to look at literacy, that should be in there. We're going to look at translanguaging. And then Jorge has made sure that we have time at the end for questions and conversation. So feel free, if you have questions that you want to hold on to till the end, you know, jot them down, write them down, because I want to make sure that we have time to connect on all of those. So the personal and professional. And also, these are some flowers. These are some flowers from my garden. And as you know, all of us, we have our professional lives, we have our personal lives. Many of us were raised with the idea that those had to be completely separate. I found myself about 10 years ago so fragmented. In fact, I would show you the page in my journal when I made this realization, except it would probably terrify you all. But I had my personal life, I had my professional life, and I felt like I was always being pulled in separate directions. And just basically, I just wanted to, as a matter of survival, I decided I'm going to bring my personal, who I am as a mom, as a wife, as a writer, as a daughter, as a sister, into the classroom as well, instead of leaving that outside the door. So in just a second, Jorge is going to break those of us who are here up into small groups for maybe, how about like 3 minutes, Jorge? And during that time, in your group, collaboratively, please come up with one personal question for me. The only rule is it can't be embarrassing. One personal question and one professional question. One personal and one professional per group. And then Jorge is going to bring us back together, and we will, and we'll go ahead and dive into those. Okay, Jorge, here we go.
Okay, now you can go, everyone, to your rooms, and we'll have 3 minutes. Okay, thank you.
3 minutes. We only need 3.
Yeah.
3 minutes? Yeah.
Great, okay. Go. Now they can go.
Great. Jorge, thank you so much for learning how to do this so we can get some engagement and interaction with our game.
Yeah, of course. I think went through some tutorials yesterday. Well, we have 1, 2, 3 different rooms with 1, 4, 5, 6 people in each. I guess it was the other way around, but that's okay.
It's perfect. Whatever happens today, Jorge, is going to be perfect.
Yes, I guess. I think so.
We are doing the no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is your own work going, Jorge?
I am not at the same place anymore, but it's going okay.
Good.
That's great.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So this Monday, I'm participating in an event on International Publishers Exhibition. That's the name. I don't know if you have heard about that.
No, I don't. I would love to know more about that.
They are based in Greece,
Uh-huh.
and they have these, kind of conferences, talks, and workshops. And I'll be participating in a panel. And I am really happy because in that panel, we're going to have TESOL president and ISFL president. So that's
Oh, wow, Jorge. Oh, that's fantastic.
yes. So it was,
Oh, that should be fascinating. Wow. And they're based out of where?
in Greece, in Europe.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Oh, God, that'll be fascinating. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm on a panel. Is that tomorrow, Jorge, that you're doing that?
Oh, on Monday and Tuesday.
Monday. Okay. Yeah. I'm on. Oh, I'll be thinking about you. That sounds great. Yeah, that sounds. I'm on a panel tomorrow, talking about many of these same ideas, and so I'm looking forward to it. And are you keeping track of time, Jorge? I typically set my timer, and I didn't.
No. So well, but
okay. I tell you what. I give them like 30 more seconds, and let's bring everybody together.
All right.
Yeah. We'll be on, as my students have been known to say, dawn wink time, because they're like, you told us we had 5 minutes and that was 10 seconds ago. I say, yeah, but you're done.
So it's your time. It's not time on the clock.
It's like, you're done. We're going with it.
Yes, that's great. So it's time to bring them back.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to stop those sessions so they are coming back. Okay, they will have 60 seconds to come back. So
okay. Oh, that's okay. They can pull they can complete their thoughts.
Coming back. They are coming back.
And do you know, let's see, because are they group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4? Can you see who's in each group so you could call on a group to share?
I saw that before, but now I don't know how to do it. So they know, so they can tell.
They know. These are teachers.
Yes.
That's great.
But they are coming back.
Here, there we
go. People from Guatemala. Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
From Guatemala, from Peru, from the US, from Mexico. That's kind of international. Thank you. Excellent.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
Plus on YouTube.
Yes. Are you recording that YouTube by any chance, Jorge?
Yes, we are live.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Hello, welcome back, everyone. Is everybody back?
Most of them.
Okay. I have heart. How about let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and dive in. And how about I will, and I can see most of the names. I will go ahead and just start, and I'll say a name that I see, and whoever's group that is in, whoever's group you're in, it's your turn to ask your one personal and your one professional question. And so how about Ada? Do you want to kick us off? What is your group's one personal and one professional question?
Yes, I was in group 1.
Okay.
About the personal question, we decided to ask, what's your favorite color?
Oh my gosh. Okay, you see those flowers up on the screen?
Yes.
I would say my favorite colors are the colors of the sunrises or sunsets. Anything in that spectrum, just as long as it's bright and vibrant. I love oranges and yellows and reds, but then it's got some cobalt blue in there and some purple.
Okay.
Those are my favorite colors. I like pastels, and I don't even think I own a single pastel. My daughter does pastels. Look, I even have a pin right here. I don't know if you can see it. It says, I can't cope with pastels.
Yes, I can see that.
Bright, vibrant colors. Yes, that's a great question. The professional question.
Okay, the professional question, we decided to ask, why is so important to feel passionate about teaching?
Oof.
Why is it important to have that passion when you're in the classroom, inside the classroom? even though it's in presential or online, it doesn't matter.
Because
it's so important.
Because it's so hard. That's why it's so important. I mean, it's the only thing for me going on 35 years in education. It's what has kept me in education. It is what has kept me during, I've had some really, really, really difficult chapters of my professional life. And again and again and again, what I go to is what I'm passionate about, and whether it has to do with languages, whether it has to do with that connection with my students, whether it has to do with the impact that my students are having on their students' lives. But that's another reason why I started bringing the personal into the professional. I bring flowers to my classroom all the time. What, you know, I bring colorful fabrics to my classroom. I bring stones and bright glass beads to my classroom because they make me happy. They're silly, but they make me happy. And if I'm happy, I'm probably going to be a better teacher, even when things outside of my classroom are very difficult. And so, and I think we all know teachers who are incredibly tired and exhausted and burnt out and cynical, and they take that into the classroom, and it's just a horrible, aside from the fact it's completely ineffective pedagogy, it's just not a kind thing to do as a human being on the planet. So that's why I am so passionate about keeping the passion in our teaching in whatever way that manifests itself.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, how about someone, if you remember, if you're in group 2, do we have someone from group 2 who's ready to share? And I can always, or we can ask the question or the names, whichever. How about Giselle?
Yeah. A
Great.
personal question. What's your favorite hobby?
Oh, it would have to be a favorite hobby. Anything that involves bright colors. Running is a huge part of my life because I have discovered that rhythm, I'm a big believer in rhythms in life. And that's another part of being sustainability as a teacher. I would have to say running is probably my favorite of the many. I love to read. I love to read, but probably running is pretty key. And then the professional.
The professional will be, how has the pandemic affected your professional work?
Oof. Oh, that's a great question that all of us are wrestling with. And I just saw Janine, who I know is teaching all day and online, and what a huge impact that has had. For me, the impact, well, since we're all working remotely, now things are not quite as much, but during the time that we were really working intensely remotely, I was also navigating, we have 3 adult children who moved home during the pandemic. They're all in their 20s and everybody was off doing their own thing. And of course, during the pandemic, everybody moved home. So having 3 adult children again at home, and navigating all of those dynamics, in addition to everything that we were all going through in education with Zoom and, trying to remember that. I mean, it was just trying to get through the day, and every new day brought a new something. And so, and I also loved, having our 20-somethings home again, because we wouldn't have had that otherwise. And so it was I was really, really tired at the end of every day. I was cooking more than I had cooked in years because all of a sudden everybody was home. But I really enjoyed being able, for me, to work remotely. While people who know me professionally may not believe it, I'm actually a huge introvert, and I really love I loved having that time just in, without having to go to campus and just being able to focus on my work. So that, yeah, I hope that answers that question. That makes sense. Yeah,
Yes,
thank
thanks
you.
a lot.
Okay. Oh, thanks. And then Blanca, has your group shared yet?
Group 3. Blanca. Hello. Nice meeting you.
Good to meet you.
Okay. Well, the personal question was about, well, in fact, our team leader was going to be the boy in the group, but I don't remember his name. But
Okay.
one question was, have you achieved all of your goals?
Oh God, no. I'm just getting started. No, not even close. Because I think, you know how as soon as you achieve something, then immediately you think about the next thing. No, I've got all kinds of things I still want to do. I've achieved many of them, or as far as just, you know, things that I wanted to do, and then you kind of put those things in place and you make them happen, and then they come to be. And then I always think, okay, now what's next? And so actually another part of the rhythm of my life is I wake up really early in the morning. I go to bed really early at night, and I write in my journal by candlelight with candles and coffee. And it's just, much of what I write is visualizing and planning for whatever I want to bring into my life in the next chapter. And it's a long list, so not even close.
Okay. Thank you. I think that happens to all the teachers. Okay. Well, the other question was, where were you born? Where were you born?
I was born in Pennsylvania, in the United States, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is so wild because I'm such a, here in the States, like the eastern part of the States and the western part of the States have very different cultures. And I'm very much a Westerner. I grew up on ranches in the middle of nowhere, but I was born in Philadelphia, very urban. My dad was playing for anybody who follows professional football in the United States, which I do not, but he was playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was playing football at the time. And so I just happened to be born in Philadelphia. Yeah. I went back recently, about 4 years ago, and it was just all so brand new. And you know how, and I remember thinking as I was walking around, oh my gosh, what would I be like if I had grown up here? Because it's so different than how I grew up, so different. So we all have those. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Nice meeting
you. So good to meet you. Group 4? Somebody from group 4, have you gone yet?
I guess there is no group 4.
Are you from group 4?
No, there is no group 4, I'm telling you.
Oh, there is no group. Oh, sorry, Gloria, I couldn't see who was talking. Okay, so have we done all the groups?
Yes, we are done.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks. Well, thank you so much. And I encourage you each to play around with this in your classrooms, because of course, students want to know who their teacher is. They want to know, you know, who is this person standing up here in front of me, and give them the opportunity. And I've done this for years with every age group possible. And just such fascinating questions. But also what I find is if I'm nervous going into something, if we do this, I'm not nervous anymore by the end of it, because we've all connected. So if you are going to do a big presentation or you're nervous about something, give this a whirl, because it's all of a sudden then you become human. The one funny story, I did this one time, and this had to have been 20 years ago I did this. And it was with kindergartners. So they were 5. And so there was this one little girl, she raises her hand, and her personal question was, she said, "How old are you?" And so I was going to tell her, and then I was like, oh no. So I lean in real close and I said, "How old do you think I am?" And she looks at me and she says, 100. So I'll never forget that. So I encourage you to play around with this. Take it into, you know, coming off of Sunday and you're wondering Monday morning, okay, what am I going to do? Give this a whirl. And then I'd love to hear from you and see what happens. Okay. We are now going to go, let's see if I can do this so you can see on my screen, so you can see the flowers. Let's see. Also, let's see if I do it up here. There. Okay. So the power of story. And so we're going to touch base once again on, we're going to look at transmission, generative, and transformative. We're going to talk about our dear Krashen and what he teaches us about literacy and what it means for us in the classroom. And then we're going to get into translanguaging. We are also going to talk about the research of storytelling. This storyteller is actually my mom's. And for those of you who know my mom, Joan Wink, this is her storyteller. And this is very much a tradition here in the Southwest in the United States. And that's such a beautiful picture. I wanted to use it, but I also wanted to share, here's my storyteller. And I love my storyteller. It's got 3 children. And of course I have 3 children. And so I just love it. But this idea of the research of storytelling, I really want us to embrace that stories are data. And there was a time that they would never have been, well, that they wouldn't have been accepted as data because how do you quantify a story? And actually my whole PhD dissertation is on, much of it is the research of storytelling, but that's a whole other conversation, but it's amazing. And what it does is it embraces all voices. Because as we know, traditionally in academics, it's been a very few voices who have been embraced. Very few. Stories embrace the voices of all. They embrace the ways of being of all. They embrace all languages. They embrace indigenous ways of knowing. It opens up the world. So I'm going to tell you a story. And as I'm sharing this story, you know what we do best, we teachers, this whole, the reflective cycle that is, that guides all of our lives. You know, it's interesting because frequently at the end of a semester, I'll ask teachers new to teaching, what was the biggest surprise for you about teaching? And again, they say, I had no idea I had to reflect so much. And I think for those of us who grew up during the transmission era, like, you know, teachers just stood in front and they talked at students. So thankfully it's not like that now, hopefully. But this whole idea of so right now we're gonna have a common experience. I'm gonna share a story. We're gonna have a common experience and it will reflect, of course, my own perspectives and culture and language in life. I'm gonna tell about what this experience was like. And then I hope you will then analyze what it means for you in your personal and professional contexts. And then really interpret, okay, what does this mean for my teaching? And equally as important, how can this transform my teaching? What does this mean when I walk into the classroom on Monday? Okay. And I wanted to share some reflective resources. And this is my mom. And I pulled that picture off her webpage because I just adore her. She has some resources that I want to share with you. If you just go to joanwink.com, there are many reflection overviews, and she's been in education many, many, many years. And her whole goal now is for teachers to just come and take. So I wanted you to know that that's a completely free resource awaiting you. So what is reflection? So as I tell this story, it's how we think and learn. It's not memorization. It's not regurgitation. It is not memorization or regurgitation. It's how we get smarter, because it's how we make what we learn real. So as we're thinking about curriculum development, the lens that all curriculum goes through for me is, how do I make this real? How do I make it relevant? How do I make it meaningful for these particular students. Like, you know, even, and I have had to teach prescribed curriculum before. Oh, is so not my natural way of teaching, but I've actually done it. I've had to do it many times over the years. Is I go into whatever that content is that I know I have to teach, and I go over it and I think, how do I make this real for me and for my students? How do I make this real for me and for my students? Because otherwise you're just up, you're like a talking head standing there. It's a flat experience. How do you embody whatever that content is and make it real? It's how we get smarter. It's what we as professionals do. It's focused and rigorous, thinking on a specific experience. It is when we ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? And that is something when we talk about bringing together the professional and the personal, no matter how tough, especially in difficult situations, that is something that I have learned is what can I learn from this? And that has served me very well professionally, because suddenly it takes one out of a sense of victimhood. And I think we've all been there. I can't imagine anybody in life who hasn't. But all of a sudden, when I take myself out of what can I learn from this, then I have agency again. So I encourage, I don't, you know, who knows what is happening in all of our contexts, our professional context right now. What can I learn from this? And it is when we ask ourselves, what is my role in all of this? And as the teacher, and there's a great cannot quote, I create the culture and climate of my classroom. And that is the earlier question about why is passion and being passionate so important, because I do create the culture and climate of my classroom. And then it is, I can inspire and heal, or I can harm and hurt. And we all know that we as teachers have that power, no matter how old our students. And I always, I come from a space where no matter what is happening in people's lives, no matter what is happening in my life, no matter what is happening outside the classroom, that is in my power. How I treat my students, the climate and the culture that I bring into my classroom is always in my power. No matter what bureaucratic nonsense or political craziness is happening, that's in my power. Okay. This is a story of a student, Dana. And this student was actually one of my mom's students. And my mom also teaches teachers. And this is a master's level program in pedagogy and TESOL methodology. And Dana came to class and she, like many of us, taught all day and then went to school at night, you know how so many of us do. She came to class all semester. She read, she was engaged, she participated. She, you know, clearly was absorbing, but about 3/4 of the way through the semester, my mom had to pull her aside and say, Dana, you're engaged, you're participating, you're clearly reading, but you have not turned in a single assignment all semester, not one. And we're coming to the end, and I'm in a bit of a quandary here because you haven't turned in a single thing. And so Dana looked at her and said, Dr. Wink, you are the one who is always telling us, come from meet the student where they are. You are the one who is always telling us to respect students' different ways of learning. She said, you are the one who is always telling us to trust the student. And mom said, she was like, oh, you're right. So they continued. And so she was like, well, okay, here we go. So they continued the rest of the semester, and the final day of the semester, and I'll come back to this, Dana walks into the classroom and she says, I have something for the class. And so mom said, okay, take it away. And she unfurled this piece of artwork, which is about, in real life, it's big. It's, I don't know, let's see, it's very big. And it's a visual, and Dano's an artist, a visual representation of transmission. what so many of us grew up with, what so many of us remember. And here, look at this. So there's the teacher talking at, and this student is hungry and so thinking about something. This student has a question but is too scared to ask. And this student is just asleep. And so anything this teacher is saying is bouncing right off and heading out. And so this is as if the roots of the learning are being cut off at the base. How can growth occur when no absorption is happening? And then we go to the generative model. And in the generative model, students are working in small groups. The teacher is down with the students, talking with the students, and this student feels comfortable asking question. This student is wondering, okay, what does this mean? We're learning about flowers, we're learning about butterflies. And as we can see, this still is contained within the classroom. So the learning is engaged, it's interactive, it's contained within the classroom. So now with this kind of learning, the plant, the growth has the opportunity to grow, and the leaves are there and there's growth. Now, transformative. This is where, look at this, everybody's working together, everybody's talking, it's outside the classroom. What's the difference between generative and transformative? Generative, yes, it's engaged, it remains contained within the context of the school. Transformative is we take it out into the world. And here we see the flower now has an opportunity to bloom, and what had been a caterpillar has the chance to transform into a butterfly. And so not only does this piece visually demonstrate transmissive, generative, and transformative pedagogies, but the entire piece is the essence of transformative pedagogy. So as we go into our classrooms and students have different ways of learning, different ways of expressing their learning, I invite you to remember the story of Dana and the courage that it takes in order to do that. So thinking about that, we're going to stay grounded in that, and we're also going to kind of remind ourselves, what does Krashen teach us about literacy and second language? What do we know? What do we remember about some of his big ideas? And we will come back together as a group. But right now, we are going to go ahead and head again, into our small groups. And two things to connect with your colleagues and friends in your small group. Just share any experiences that came to your mind with either transmissive, generative, or transformative. Just kind of connect about what those are. And also, what does Krashen teach us about literacy? And so how about, we'll have to keep it going. We'll have to keep it moving, because I also want to make sure, oh my gosh, I also want to make sure we have time for questions at the end. So even though I know that this is, we could easily take 20 minutes, we're going to do it in 3 minutes again. So Jorge, if you could pop everyone into their small groups, we'll come back in 3 minutes. And please decide who will be the speaker of your group. And I bet if you raise your hand, like, when we come back together, if you raise your hand, then either Jorge or I will be able to see who raises their hand, so we can connect with those people. Okay, go for it.
There you go. We're going to start. There you go. Please go to your groups, everyone. Well, they are getting into the room. Now we have 4, okay? I created new groups.
I see that, yeah.
So they are 4 now.
That's perfect. That's so wonderful, Jorge. Thank you so much for learning how to navigate that. So we could.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
I know you're very busy always. Well, everyone, right? But yes.
Everyone, yes. But Jorge, you know that, of course, I'll always say yes to go have a chance to work with you and your teachers. And absolutely. Yeah, I love it.
Most of these teachers in here are in a master's degree program where I teach now.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So that's why I decided to go with this kind of webinars or interviews, whatever they are.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, and I was really thinking, oh, there was so much I wanted to, just anyways, I was trying to think what would be hopefully most meaningful for people. There's who are you teaching with now? Who do you work for?
It's a public university. It's
Mhm.
la Universidad Pedagógica Nacional.
Oh,
That's
good.
the name in Spanish.
Yeah.
And they have this master's degree. So I started back in February.
Yeah.
And well, I said, well, why not inviting some people to join our class? People
I
like,
love it. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh my gosh, that's great. Well, I do want to make sure because I want to make sure we have time for questions at the end. So we'll make sure we'll make sure we have time for questions, especially knowing this and that they're students and they're going for their masters. So we
well, not all of them, but most of them I'll say, for example, Ada is not my student. Yeah. But some others are, and well, we have also some other teachers. I can see that we have a teacher from Peru and someone from Guatemala. I don't know who they are. And well, I know the one from Peru. And also one of your students, Janine,
and also from Guatemala. Guatemala is a teacher who I worked with in Guatemala, and we've stayed very connected. And so, I thought she might enjoy joining us. When you said we could invite people, I thought, yeah.
Yes, I did. And some people are watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and this is going to be there for forever. So whoever wants to watch it, that's it.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, thank you.
I guess we are I'm going to stop it because then they have like few seconds to come back.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm going to
Perfect.
stop that, okay? So they are coming back. Remember, we have 4 groups now.
Okay, great. And because especially with sharing my screen, I don't see, if I miss some hands, will you please help me? Because I can't, with sharing my screen, I can't see all the participants. I can't see all the students. And so if I miss somebody.
All right, okay. They are coming back. Well, yes, they are coming back. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm trying to figure out how I can see the most people. Let's see, is everyone back, Jorge? I think you're muted, Jorge.
I'm sorry about that, Don.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
they
no,
are coming back. Right now, 4 of them are back. Let's wait for the other ones.
Great, okay.
More are coming back. Now we are almost all of us back.
Fantastic. Okay, let's see. If you are your group's spokesperson, will you please raise your hand? Do you have any spokespeople? Okay, fantastic. Let's see here. Let's see, I don't see a name. I'm not, let's see, hold on, let me get my cursor over there. You who just raised your hand, I can't, your name isn't up, but you have shelves behind you. Please go ahead and jump in. Oh, great, okay.
Is it me, teacher?
Yes, Christian, there you go. Now I can see.
Yes, Christian, yes.
Well, we were sharing these ideas in which Krashen says that literacy starts by listening, and we were, talking about the idea of how preschool teachers actually teach, because they are using, most of the time, they are using storytelling as a main resource by giving, and they previously give to the kids certain words and certain contexts. So by the time kids are hearing to the, listening to the stories, they can create like an image, a whole image and a whole context in their minds, and they can easily understand what the teacher is trying to teach.
Beautiful.
It's like,
Yes.
natural.
Yes, the natural approach, our dear Krashen. You know, and early childhood educators are so good and so intentional about doing that. And it's such an important lesson for all of us. And especially, well, for all of us, because we all learn by story, but for those of us who are teaching language and are teaching and are experiencing language acquisition, let's give a firm foundation to those students through story for the content to rest on. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And then I saw another hand. Let's see here, but now it disappeared on my screen. Let's
It was Monica. Monica.
Monica, perfect.
Yes. Monica, please.
I'm on mute. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to do. I forgot what I was going to say. Hello.
Hello.
Well, we're talking about that. What we understood, or we talked about, is that the generative is the information that you get from school, right? And then with the experience with our students or with everybody, is that when you have the transformative, in the generative, you get the input, you get all the information and all the words. And then when the student goes out, finishes school, finishes the course, whatever, and he faces real life with English, using English, then all the output that maybe he didn't use comes out, no? But according to the needs, the student is going to find along his way. Maybe he's going to be a teacher, maybe he's going to be an engineer, maybe he's going to use technical English. So that's what the transformative way is going to be different for everybody. I don't know if we're right.
You are right on. It is, the transformative is going to be different for everyone because we all have different meanings, personal based on our life experiences. And the generative absolutely is engaged and it stays within the classroom. And when we take those ideas out into the world, and even before a student graduates, it could be later that afternoon, it's just taking those ideas out into the world. Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Now, let's see. I don't see any more hands. Jorge, do you see? Can someone from another group just go ahead and dive right in?
I don't see any other ones, but I guess we are missing someone from group 1.
I bless.
Is
The microphone for Monica.
Yes, Monica, please turn off your microphone.
okay? Is that Monica? Okay.
That's Monica.
How about Giselle? Has your group gone yet?
Yes, I was in team 1,
Okay.
and it's very, this experience, it was good for me because I love literacy, and when teacher speaks to me, I love because I can imagine. I love reading.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Ada, has your group gone yet?
Hello. Yes, we were discussing with the group with Giselle and with Andrea and Monica.
Okay.
Monica has already answered.
Wonderful. Is there a group who has not gone yet?
No, I don't think so.
Are we good? Okay.
Yes, we're good.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much. And of course, I wanted to be in listening to all of your groups and thinking about these ideas. It's also really important that we give students time while they're learning to stop, stare. Of course, I brought some clouds in, scribble their ideas, and share with their friends and share with their partners. And it was interesting because we were watching a movie the other night, and my daughter, there was a Socratic seminar happening. And my daughter, who's my youngest, and she's 22, and she's like, she said, oh my God, that gives me a stomach ache and anxiety just looking at that, because she doesn't like to talk in front of people. She doesn't like to feel put on the spot, which is why it's so important we get, in whatever way possible, people, you know, in small groups, everybody's talking, everybody's loud, so shy people can share too. So like my daughter Wynn, who will never volunteer and is incredibly anxiety producing to talk in public, but if she's in a small group with her friends and there's lots of noise and nobody's listening, that's a really safe space for her. And it's a really safe space for many of us. So I'll plant that seed again as we dive in. So we're going to do literacy that, whoops, get this out. Let's see here. That it is relevant and meaningful. I'll have to open that up again in a second. So here is baby Valeria Elizabeth. And baby Valeria Elizabeth's mommy is with us today. And this is baby Valeria Elizabeth, and her mommy is reading to her. And she actually sent me a video, and I need to learn how to embed videos into PowerPoints, and I don't know how to do it. But this little one, her mommy was reading to her and tracking with her fingers and words and with lots of inflection. And this little one was reading along. She was commenting, she was talking. It was an engaged conversation about literacy at this tiny young age. And because her mommy was doing what is relevant and meaningful for Valeria Elizabeth right now. And so, I had to include this picture of little Valeria because she's wearing my favorite t-shirt, waiting for my letter from Hogwarts. And for those of us who love Harry Potter, oops, I jumped ahead. And because she's wearing her waiting for my letter from Hogwarts and her skinny jeans. I just love it. So literacy, what is relevant and meaningful. And so think about what is, I don't want to cover up the babies, relevant and meaningful for you and your students, because it will be different in each of your classrooms, depending on how old, what the context is. But that is, again, the lens that we always look at curriculum through, is what is going to be relevant and meaningful for my students in this context. This I just had to throw in because this is something that hangs in my writing room, hangs in my office. I'm looking at it right now. And I just think it's an important thing to remember, because I think we all forget sometimes. Speaking for myself, sometimes I do. Life does not have to be perfect to be wonderful. And I really believe that. Translanguaging. Let's dive into some of these ideas. This comes from a piece written by Bonnie and David Freeman, and I meant to include the URL, but if you Google Yvonne and David Freeman Translanguaging, it was in the TESOL newsletter. What is translanguaging? We all live it. We're all doing it right now. It's that idea that when we bring our whole selves through different languages into each context. Remember, it used to be, okay, you can only speak English here, you can only speak Spanish there. People used to call it code switching in a way to marginalize. Those of us who lead bilingual, multilingual lives, translanguage constantly. It's fluid. It's sometimes I speak Spanish, sometimes I speak English. It just depends on what feels like the best way to express myself in that moment. We have a bilingual household. There's Spanish and English kind of weaving all over together all the time, just depending on what's the best way to express. So students naturally do that, and that's okay. We used to think, no, that we can't allow them to do that. It's whatever makes it meaningful and relevant. If in order to make meaning of whatever they're learning in English, they need to speak Spanish with their friends, perfect, because they're making meaning and relevancy in their primary language, which is going to make what they're learning in English sink in deeper. So how to do it in the classroom. And I just wanted to give you just a few little things to take with you. Create bilingual and multilingual word walls. So often it's like only one language at a time. We don't stop thinking in one language when we're in another. Just like I don't stop being a mother when I walk into the classroom and I'm a teacher. And I don't stop being a teacher when I come home and I start cooking dinner for my family. All of those things weave together, just like languages. Supply classroom libraries with books, magazines, and other resources in students' home languages. And for those of you, perhaps you have speakers of indigenous languages, this is a wonderful opportunity to bring those languages, to respect those languages and revitalize those languages and bring those into the library. Encourage emergent bilinguals to produce bilingual books in English in their home languages. So depending on what level of language acquisition your student is at, it's okay to translanguage while they're learning. We all do it naturally, but have students work in pairs with students who speak their home languages so they can discuss concepts and support one another to clarify reading or writing assignments in English. If you have students who are in your classrooms who speak languages other than if the primary language is Spanish, or if whatever the primary language in your context is, let them work together to make meaning in their primary home language while they're learning English, or perhaps while they're learning Spanish. Use videos in other languages produced professionally or by the students to support academic learning and raise self-esteem. Plus, they'll have fun with it. Let them make music, but let them create their own videos. Let them be the agent, the authors of the curriculum. Use preview, review, and I can't see the names, but that's exactly what talking about how telling a story first. So preview, this is what we're going to learn through story. Look at the new content, and then review afterwards. And if students come with languages, if you're focused on English, if you're focused on Spanish, pair them with a peer, because as we all know, the key factor in language acquisition is students need to feel, in any kind of learning, students have to feel safe. They have to feel safe. That is the key factor in learning. So whatever we need to do for students to feel safe, this is just another bit of beauty I wanted to bring to us. Some people look for a beautiful place. Other people make a place beautiful. And I feel that is very much a part of our teachers' role. For those who would like to stay in touch, I write a blog called Dewdrops, where I write about language and landscape and TESOL and teaching. And if you just Google Dawn Wing Dewdrops, it'll pop up and you can click follow and it'll be there. And I am all over social media because I love to take pictures, as you can see. I'm like, oh, a chance to take pictures. Here you go. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and my Twitter account is much more, I share research, I share articles. I don't share too many photos there, but I try to, anything that has to do with language, I really try to share. So I wanted to, and on my mom's, when you go to joanwink.com, if you go to hers, she also writes about all these ideas, and her blog is called Wink World. And you just go down and you can also follow that. And it tons between the two of us, lots of ideas about teaching and TESOL and all of those. But I know now it's time for questions and conversation, and I welcome all. Take it, and I'll stop sharing my screen so I can hopefully see all of you more.
Dawn, there was a question in the chat. I don't know if you can see it.
I can't see the chat when I share my screen. Okay, now I can. Great.
Okay. All right, because for example, it was Blanca, I guess. Yes, she says, since we are not in a classroom, I guess she means physical classroom. How could this be done?
Well, I think hopefully some of what we just experienced, I mean, there is the reality that we're online and we're virtual. So how can we bring small groups into the virtual environment? Jorge learned last night how to do this. I will send you tutorials. I mean, it's you know, or Google. So that is, you know, one way. Opening it up for conversation, like how, you know, we are doing right now. You know, of course, I miss when we can all be together and we can pair and group and do all kinds of those things. But there are very, you know, there's different ways to stay engaged. And if you're working with the same group of students, yeah, thank you. For those, please turn on your videos if you're comfortable, so I'd love for us to be able to see each other. If you're working with the same group of students, of course, you would want to put them in different groups, you know, on different days, or if you can throughout your time together, because you want, you know, you want them talking with different people, you want them talking with different, learning from different peers. There are engaging ways. There's like, I think it's chalkboard.com, where everybody can go in and contribute interactively virtually. It does, you know, it stretches us. It does. I love to read aloud to my students of all ages. If we had more time together, inevitably I would have read something aloud to you, just because I think we associate that with kids, and we all love being read aloud to. So there's another idea. Students reading books and sharing partners and utilizing this chat. You know, I couldn't see it when I wasn't screen Jamboard. That's what it is. Thank you. Jamboard is the interactive. Thank you, Janine. Let's see. I was reading and question, and at the same time, and sharing during the chat about, okay, share, you know, what were your thoughts on this book or on this story? And then how can we bring the love for books in an environment full of media influence? Yeah, exactly. And I wrestle with that, not only as a teacher, but also as a parent. You know, I really wrestle with that. That is, you live it. You live it, you live it, you live it. There is, you know, it's because our students see us reading books. It's because we refer to books in real and meaningful ways, not write a summary at the end of the chapter. For the, you know, it's bringing the magic of books. It's absolutely possible to do. And again, you know, and as I'm thinking about this, I think a little translanguaging there is also an idea. You know, like I post about books on my social media all the time. And if that's what students want to do to make it real and meaningful, I think just finding out what is going to make it real and meaningful for them. What do they love? And remember, they can read anything they want. That is another thing Krashen has taught us. They can read anything they want. It is all about the student's interest. I hope, does that somewhat answer that question?
Thank you, Dawn. I'd like to invite the teachers in here, if they want to ask any other question or comment on something, they can open the microphone. And also, please, if you can turn on your camera so we can see each other better.
Let's see, Monica, do you have it? Looks like your hand is up.
Now, when I have to have it mute, I don't have it. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I have a question. I mean, that's for all the teachers. I always ask them that every day, and it's an issue with these long distance classes. That when, like you said right now, would you please open your camera, turn on the camera, and when we have our students, we have some students that they say, and I said, would you please turn on the camera? I know, teacher, I can't, why is that? And then can we take them points off? No, we cannot take them.
No.
How can we motivate them? Last period, I offered them to give them 1 extra point if they turn on the camera, but only about 2 or 3 did that. And yeah. I don't know if there's a way, or what do you do, or how do you feel about it?
About forcing them to turn on their camera? I know it's something that teachers are wrestling with everywhere. I have a friend who teaches in Costa Rica, and she's like, none of my students will turn on their cameras. And yeah, that's a fine line, because you want to respect. It could be there's a reason for privacy that they don't want it. What age group do you teach?
How old are they?
Yes.
They are at the university.
Oh, they have no excuse not to turn on their camera. I think okay, this is what I would do. Maybe this is just my first thought is I would really talk about how important it is for us we create a community. Like our classroom is a community. And even though we're not together physically, our classroom is still a community. And it's really important. And I would just put it on me and say, it's really important for me. I would really like to be able to see all in our community. And I will pay you $500 if you turn on your camera. No, that's, I mean, I think I would start with that, and I would probably address it. I would address it, well, if the semester's already started, but knowing that was going to be an issue, I would put it in my syllabus and say part of being in this virtual online environment is we are a community, and we need to be able to see each other, to talk and engage. And then I'm so usually so opposed to like behavioristic extrinsic learning, but that's what I would do. And I can see myself putting some, like a percentage of a grade on there, because it would be so important to me. It's like I just sit and teach to a blank screen all day and not be able to see. And university students, they can get someplace where their camera can be on and their privacy is still, respected. So that's my gut level. I would be, plus I'm such a visual person like that. I would probably be pretty hardcore about that. I can see myself doing that. So,
Thank you.
I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Dawn. I guess we could spend the whole afternoon chatting here, right? But I know, Dawn, you have some other issues, some other things to do. I want to thank you for being here, Dawn. All of you know her contact details, so you can send her a mail, send her, chat, interact with her in her Twitter and in her website, right? So you can reach her, whatever.
Does anybody care if do I have permission? Like, say I took a screenshot of us right here, fix it, get your lipstick on, because I would love to now I got to remember, I would love to share this, but I want to make sure I have everyone's permission. And so can you take another one, please? So we have everybody, thank you. And Janine is kind of, okay. So I definitely want to take a screenshot. So here we go, everyone. Thank you so much. Janine is helping me out and taking, because it's hard to do. Good. Janine, do we look good? Do we all look good? Good. Well, I shall share that. And it's been such a pleasure, and I am so grateful for the time that we were able to spend together. Jorge, I'm tremendously grateful to you for inviting me to share this time. And so thank you so much. And I hope we stay in touch. I really, really do.
Thank you very much, Dawn. Thank you for virtually visiting us again. And we are very pleased to have you here. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you next. We're going to have another episode like this with a different speakers, but not right now. Thank you very much, Dawn, and keep in touch, please.
I will, and I'm writing my pleasure and thank you. Okay, great. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Sure, Dawn. Pleasure.
Bye.
Pleasure.